Welcome to the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl, where we dive into the captivating world of books. Here at the Book Buzz Show, we encourage you to make your pages turn with joy and immerse yourself in a magical literary experience. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl, where we dive into the captivating world of books. Here at the Book Buzz Show, we encourage you to make your pages turn with joy and immerse yourself in a magical literary experience. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Book Buzz Show. I'm your host, Cheryl Brooks. Saying my name wrong. Cheryl Brooks, and if you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. If you enjoy the upcoming show, please like, follow, share, and subscribe the broadcast. Also, for those of you who are new here at the Book Buzz Show, we do discuss the book and the characters, so there will be some spoilers, but I don't think anything that would ruin your reading enjoyment. It's mainly minor spoilers. In addition to being a live broadcast, the Book Buzz Show is also a podcast. So you can check us out wherever you get your podcast at the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl. So you can be up to date on our broadcasts. Okay, also, bring this up. Just so you know, today's episode is being brought to you in partnership with Black Odyssey Media, and you can check their roster out at blackodyssey.net. Check out their roster of authors. We've had a few of them on the show, so you can go back through our broadcasts to see those interviews as well. All right, so we have a great show in store. I have the author of one of my favorite series on today. We will be speaking with author Sienna Minks, and we'll be talking about her Battaglia series. And for those watching, that is book 1, cover Destino on the screen. For those who will be listening, again, that's Destino by Sienna Minks, and it's the Battaglia Mafia series. And this is book 1. We will be highlighting different books out throughout the series. So if you hear us talking, it may not just all be from book 1, just so you know. All right. And without further ado, I'm going to bring we're on a little earlier today, today's guest on, and my co-host for today, Katina Brown. Right. Hello, welcome.
Hi, ladies.
All right, looks like we have a few people in the audience, so let me just see who we have out here. Tureen, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Tureen Dreams, thank you for joining us. All right. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Hi, Ola. Thank you for joining us. We have Shannon Bennett. Thank you for joining us. Sheila Kay is saying hi, Sienna.
Hi.
Let's see. Go down. These are moving fast. It looks like Sheila Kay is saying that she's from Nigeria. Okay, good. Love it. And we have a few people on Instagram who have joined as well. Welcome. Unfortunately, Instagram's comments don't show up in our main comments, so I'll be checking back and forth. And Katina, if you can help with that as well.
Yeah.
So we don't miss anybody commenting. Again, everybody, welcome. So glad you could join us. And looks like we have Jackie from London. All right.
Hey, Jackie.
International today. I love it. Loving it. All
Bless you.
right. So since we have so much to talk about and such a large series, we're going to get right into it. If Sienna, for people who are new to you or if this is their first time hearing your backstory, can you give us a little background on how you got started on this professional writing journey of yours?
Oh, okay. Long story short, I always wrote stories, short stories before there was internet. I'm dating myself, but even before there was dial-up internet, I was writing
Right,
short
right.
stories, writing them in a notepad, journaling, what have you. How I started writing was through fan fiction. And if you're not familiar with fan fiction, it's kind of similar to Kindle Vella. You would log into this site, and every day someone would post a chapter. Me and Pepper Pace, we're really good friends. We both started there. We
Oh, really?
always talk
Okay.
about our original days was always posting free stories. The Battaglia Mafia series was written in 2006 and posted online for free. All
Okay.
stories.
Oh,
All stories up to about book 5. And someone came to me and said, "Why do you have this stuff out on the internet for free?" And I was like, "I don't know. You can make money off of it." It was like, "Yeah."
I love
And
it.
that's when it was around the time that they invented the Kindle ebook.
Okay.
So that was like they were trying to get authors to create stories and put them out there. Battaglia wasn't my first story. I was putting all my other stuff out there. But once I learned how to publish myself, then came Battaglia.
All right. All right.
Oh,
So, did you ever think about trying to like shop it around, or did
I
you?
did, well, not Battaglia, because I never thought Battaglia would take off.
Okay.
Battaglia came from a trip to Italy. I went to Italy for 2 weeks and stayed in the Amalfi Coast. Is
Hmm.
there an echo feedback or is it me?
Yeah, it seems like I am
you know,
hearing echo, and I'm trying to. I went out and tried to adjust the mic. Maybe, I know with some guests, if they turn their mic down or the volume down, it
Okay,
helps.
let me see. Does that help? Did I turn mine down? Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, seem
That's
like that's
better.
better.
Okay, so
Hmm.
maybe it was me. Yeah, so I went to Italy for 2 weeks. Um, we we went through Rome all the way into Naples, and then we landed in Sorrento, and then I went into the Amalfi Coast. And I had already written the fan fiction, but I didn't know Italy. Like I didn't know that there was a mafia in southern Italy called the Camorra, and I didn't know how their culture was different, and how that the mafia itself is Sicilian, it's not Italian. So
Oh, okay.
that is why the story became about him being Sicilian, but moving into Italy and taking over the Gomorrah and being an outcast because he was mixed and all those things. I learned that when we were on a tour bus, and the tour guide told us that we were about to go through Gomorrah territory, and if they stopped the bus and got on, we needed to have euro coins to pay the mafia to go into Amalfi.
Oh my
ah,
goodness, that would have freaked me out.
And we were all on the bus like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean? What is Gomorrah? What are they doing?" So my mind started working, and there was this whole thing about lemons and limoncello and all this stuff. And I saw these villas that were built into these cliffs and stuff. And then I was like, I wonder what would happen if a black woman got caught up here. What would be the scenario? So I kind of researched some scenarios with that whole crime area. The
Right.
in It's a couple of crime areas up through that region, crime groups, I mean. So then I learned more about it, and I was like, okay, now that I've written this free story, let me go add factual stuff to it.
mm,
So the first 3 books were heavily centered around what I saw, what I experienced, and how I viewed Italy. And you would notice that in reading the series, the rest of the books don't read the way the first 3 books do, because that was really taken from touching, feeling, smelling, tasting, talking to Italians, being flirted with by Italian men. Like that whole experience fed into those books.
I love that.
mm.
And I think, and I mentioned this when I first read the series that it felt so authentic, and that's probably right because of your experience actually
Yes.
going to that country.
Yes,
Um,
that was like in 2009 when I went. So it was totally different. They have a whole big migration of immigrants and Africans there, and it's all a lot of people on TikTok talk about Italy's racist, they hate blacks and all of that. But when I went in 2009, I'm not saying they don't have racial issues there. I'm sure they do, but it
mhm.
just wasn't my experience. We were a bus full of black women, and they were acting like we were fresh meat. It was just a whole different thing. So
Oh,
I
really? Okay.
romanticized Italian men based off of that. Maybe I shouldn't have, but that's how the books came.
We have somebody. Zula Bell is saying, now Sienna, you know you a writer on a bus under threat. More, you're writing a story in your mind.
Yes, yes.
That's
Giovanni was in my mind. I was like, how dare he? How dare he treat me this way?
I love that. um, okay, so that was Destina was your first book published ever when you that was the first book.
No, my first book I published under my other name is TA4.
Okay.
That's closer to my real name. Sienna Minx came when I decided I was going to go heavy in. The first book I published was Zoe. It's a historical romance, and I did it
What is
under
it called again?
TA4.
Zoe?
Zoe, Zoe, under
Okay.
TA4. And then, oh, you know what? And then I published a book called Aaron. So I was writing under TA4 when I went to Italy. When I came
Okay.
back, I said, okay, I'm not going to write this. What I'm about to write, I'm about to go in, and I don't know. So I created a new name. So I said, well, what should the name be? So I knew that the first name had to reference brown, black woman, brown, something. So
Okay.
in looking up the names of brown, or looking up brown, I came up with Sienna. The Sienna's color brown. And then when it came to the other part, my editor used to try to train me that when you publish books, you don't write them like you write an English essay. Books are written in a format. You don't double space and put periods. You have to write a certain way.
Oh
And I would
yeah.
always go in and ignore her and go back and write it my way. She used to call me a minx. She was like, "You're a little minxy. You're always doing." So I was like, Sienna Minx. And I put it together and I said, that's my name, Sienna Minx.
I love it. Love
I
it.
love
I love
that.
these backstories.
Hmm.
And Shannon is saying she read Zoe in 2 days.
Oh, Shannon, I love you,
All
girl.
right,
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and check out
right.
the books under TA4. But
Yeah.
I think my first book from you was did you write Damien's what is it called? Damien's Game?
No, 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 no. I wrote Diego, but I didn't write Damien's Game. That was another author.
What's it called? I must be saying the name wrong. What's the what was the
Is
name
it
of that book?
Diego?
Hmm. I read that too, but it seems like it's something else. I'll look it up. But I know it was by you, but I must be just saying the wrong name.
Okay.
Let's see. Francis is saying that's so cool. She loves the
Very.
name.
Oh, thank you, girl. People don't know that's where it came from.
Hi, Erica. Thank you for
Hi,
joining us.
Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Jackie is telling me yes, it's Aiden's game.
Aiden's game.
Aiden's Game. Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you, Jackie. I knew it was by her. Wait a minute, man. I know it's by you.
Yes, Aiden's Game came before Giovanni. He was my first bad boy.
Okay,
He
because I
was.
remember reading that first. I believed I read
Yes.
that first. That's how I was introduced to you. Okay.
Yes. Him and Daisy. They were my first.
She said she.
And when I tell you, Katina, that's another one. Dark with the it reminds me a little well they nah I was about to say it reminds me a little bit nah I think they were a little he was a little more so
Yeah, he
uh
was a lot more controlling than Giovanni.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
though everybody gives Giovanni shit. I mean, I don't mean to curse. Gives Giovanni mess. Aiden was a trip.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Mhm.
Okay, so Sheila is saying her first book of yours was
There you
Diego. Okay.
go.
Yeah, Diego. Yeah,
And another one agrees with me as far as Aiden's game. Said had her
yeah,
upset.
yeah. That was me testing how to write an alpha male. Before Sunrise. Oh my God, people do not read that book, but that is one of my best written books. One of the best written books I've ever published is Before Sunrise.
And you know what? Another favorite of mine. And I told you this a long time ago. You probably don't remember. What another one of yours that's my favorite that you said wasn't as popular was with the Friends. Um,
Really? You sure did tell me that. Nobody reads that book.
I loved it. I loved
Nobody reads that book.
it.
I'm glad
But
you
you know
bought
what?
it.
That's a sweet spot for me too, because I love books with strong friendships in it.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
that was a good book. Yeah.
hmm
I don't even remember the name of it. That's why nobody reads it.
you can't even remember it. And
No,
I'm
I
trying to
can't
picture
remember
it
the
in my
name.
mind so I can remember the name, but it's
I
not coming
remember I
to
wrote
me.
it in Miami. I wrote it about Miami because I'm from Miami originally. So
Okay.
that's the only reason why it sticks with me. And the fact that you told me, you were like, no, that's my
Yeah, because
favorite.
I remember when I told you that you was like, really? I'm surprised that's your favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
but well, it's one of my favorites now because I love the Battaglia too. But now, do you come up with the outline of your stories first or the characters when an idea
So
comes
they
to you?
call it plotting and pantsing. And they have plotters and they have pantsters. Because I was introduced untraditionally into writing novels and into publishing, I'm a pantser, meaning that that's why I'm in Kindle Vella right now. Because in order for me to get back and write a follow up to the Battaglia series or write novels again, I have to just write free form.
To get that the juices
Yeah, I
flowing.
have to just write every day. I just write a chapter. I just write a chapter. I just write a chapter. I don't have an idea, but all of a sudden it starts turning into a story. That's Pantser. So I don't do outlines. I have tried outlines. I bought software to do outlines, but it seems like homework. Then I'll be like, well, wait a
Okay.
minute. I don't want to do
True. Yeah.
that. I mean, so I have to have a glass of wine to be in the mood.
But you know what? It's I love hearing from the different authors though because some people they can only do it with the outline, and then others
Yep.
that they can't work with the outline at all. Then some
Mm-hmm.
say they do a little outlining and
Mm-hmm.
that they have to do it to keep the characters straight. And with you, like with the
Right.
Battaglias, how did you keep the characters and stuff straight?
Yeah.
I did, and the fans did. So
Okay.
what happened was I was writing it as free fan fiction, and I was just writing, and people were like, "He wouldn't say that. That's not his name. What are you telling me?" I was be like, "Oh, okay." So every step,
Oh man. You know they will
yeah,
tell you.
yeah,
Zuza
yeah,
Bella saying
because
Black Butterfly.
the Battaglia is a fan book from the first release, and Cheryl, that's how me and you became friends. That from the first release all the way through,
Right.
these women that have been behind me would be like, Giovanni is tripping. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
about to say Lorenzo need to take him out. Like, I don't understand what you writing,
Right,
Sienna.
right,
I would
right.
actually go back and have to plot out some things and say, okay, I have to get this story to this point. Because before
Right.
I was just writing and I wasn't thinking about it. But then it trained me to say, oh, this is a series. This thing ain't gonna never end. I gotta find the ending to this book. These women gonna kill me. So
Well,
so
you know,
yeah.
because we kept asking for more and
Oh
more
yeah.
and more
Oh
and
yeah. Y'all
more.
didn't
Yes.
play. And when you didn't like one, y'all was like, try again. That was not it.
Because
So
we gonna get to
it
one
took
of the
me,
major issues at the towards the
Ah,
end where where your readers are like, okay, because I was one of them like, okay, I don't know about this thing with Eve at the end
yeah,
and who she fell in
yeah,
love. I like, I don't know.
yeah. No,
Okay.
a lot of people didn't like it, but what you have to understand, I kind of look at it from Eve kind of being my child too. As much as Giovanni and Mira loved her, she went through all that strife with them.
Right.
That meant that out of all of them, she's going to have the most trauma.
right.
And if you go back all the way to Tiamo, all the way to when she got kidnapped,
Right.
who was the person that was rescuing her? It was not Gio.
Right. Right.
It
That's
was
true.
Nico.
That's true.
Nico was always there for Eve. Now Nico struggles with it, and I understand because it may seem like that
Yeah,
ain't
because
right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this seems like a little incestuous, but
Yeah,
I know it was.
that's not right. So he struggles with it. But Eve, from her development, so even during the time when Gio disappeared, the only person that was foundationally there and
Right.
represented everything for her is Nico. So that's
Right.
why I meant to make her a multifaceted character that I would have to develop in a new series. You got to give
Mm-hmm.
them a history, a bad and a good. So that's why I put her with Nico. And people didn't like it. And they wrote me letters and
I
emails and
remember.
everything.
Yeah, it was on
And they cussed
online
me
and
out. They left
everything.
bad reviews. It was a whole thing.
Oh
And I was like,
no.
I didn't go that
That's what it
hard, but
is.
I did say, okay, I'm having a hard time with this. I went to her with
Yeah,
the other guy. I can't even remember his name now, but
yeah, yeah,
um
yeah, yeah. I understand. I understand. It happens, but
it does happen. It does happen. Francis, oh, thank you, Francis. She said the book bus show is great because she gets introduced to so many new authors. Can't wait to
Absolutely.
get started. Francis, you gonna believe me? You gonna fall in love
Yes.
with this series. Oh my goodness.
yeah, you got a lot
Yes.
to read, Francis. Good luck.
Oh man. Let's see. Get some of these comments.
What else?
Um, so why we haven't heard about Nico and Eve? Because I'm waiting on it.
Um,
I don't know if I want. Are you writing some more about Rick? Them too. Those two.
I started writing about the twins, and then I didn't like it because to me, because we're fast forwarding to the future, which is why the last book wasn't very popular because we got so far away from romance and too much into mafia towards the
Right.
end. And you have
Right.
to remember, everybody is a mafia. I mean,
A
a
romance.
romance reader.
yes.
Right.
So even when I published, and I know there were other authors doing it in their own way, but I was one of the first Black women to come in and do it in a way where I put them in an entire dynasty that way,
Mm-hmm.
set in
Mhm.
a time period where we weren't on cell phones and we were like, it
Right.
really
Right.
felt authentic into that. And because I wrote it that way, it kind of just gave me a romantic feel about the world. When I made it reality and up to date, our society now is not open to this romanticized view. We all attached to our phones. We're streaming. We're with this. We move so fast. We move so differently that when you write a scene about somebody that's running a dynasty, there's so much information. You got CCTV out there that can capture a car of Giovanni going here and there. Before it wasn't like that. So
Right.
when I was trying to write the follow-up series, the dynasty changed and they couldn't be all powerful, all knowing like it was when it was isolated in Italy. The culture
Mhm.
is different. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh no, I can't mess with it if it's going to turn into that. So then I thought about just writing a love story. But because I put Eve with Nico, I kind of had the ick. I was like, I don't want to write them doing nothing now. That's a little bit much.
I can't see, and I can't. Yeah, please.
So I kind of put myself in a box. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of icky.
But yeah, I could understand, and that actually was one of my comments or my standouts is that because I love period pieces, so I love that you said it in the late '80s and early
Hmm.
'90s because I got
Hmm.
that feel, and it made it even more it enhanced it for me just because I love period pieces anyway. Um, Now, what made well you kind of answered this already, but what made you choose that particular era?
So I graduated in 1989, right?
Okay.
So I'm an 80s baby,
Me too.
right? I'm an 80s baby. I'm 80s hip hop. I'm 80s everything. When I went to Italy, I was probably somewhere in my mid 30s, late 30s, mid 30s. And it was the first time I left the country. It's the first time I stepped out of my comfort zone and was somewhere. And it felt so contained in its culture. It made me reminiscent of how romantic it would feel to leave my world and go there. Now I
Mm-hmm.
travel everywhere and I don't bump into places and areas that I'm like, oh my God, I would move here and I would leave America and I would fall in love. Like 90 Day Fiance done killed that for me. So I don't I don't romanticize it. What made me choose that era was because I like to write what I know
Right.
and things that are happening modernly. I'm looking at it from a adult seasoned view. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're writing from back then in the 80s when you were, and I put it in 89, when you were first going into the world,
Right.
then you have a romanticized view of that because it's all about the author's interpretation. So time periods help me relax enough to be more imaginative than dealing with the
Mm.
Trump era and all this other stuff and politics and how nasty the world is. Back then, it just makes you think, relax a little bit. So that's why I chose to do it. And I have some tea to spill about the future of Mafia with me, so we'll get to that at the end.
Okay, okay. And okay, so you did touch on your trip to Italy, and because
Mm-hmm.
one of my questions to you was what research did you do in preparing for writing about the Italian mafia, and then you just told us that it's Sicilian.
Yeah, it's Sicilian. So the
Yeah.
Mafia is Sicilian. Gomorrah is a crime organization that's even older than the Mafia, that's located only in southern Italy. Then
Okay.
there's the Triangle that I wrote about that has the
Right.
Nugata and them, and that is a crime organization. But the Mafia is Sicilian.
Mm.
So the story is more Don Battaglia, Tomasino Battaglia is Sicilian and he's from Italy, but he left and went into Italy. So he left Sicily and took
Okay.
some of the practices and discipline into Italy and infiltrated that and started his own family.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
were Sicilian. But the reason why Giovanni struggled is because everything traditionally is about family. They're very
Mhm.
xenophobic in those crime organizations. So being split, half Irish, half Italian, made it plausible that he would date a black woman. The
Right.
biggest problem that I have with IR romance is plausibility. White men are not falling at our feet when we walk out the
Right.
door.
Especially Italian and
Right.
These men and Irish and whatever. I mean, you'll bump into one. I mean, when I was in Italy, an Italian man walked up and kissed me on the lips, and I was about to punch him in his face. I was like, "What the hell
Oh
are you
my
doing?"
goodness. Oh my
But
goodness.
but but there are men that would fetishize the
There
fact,
are
"Oh my
some,
God, a
right.
black woman, let me kiss her," like that kind of thing. But
Right.
black white men or any other race, they're not going to just give up their whole family and their whole dynasty unless they have their own trauma of feeling different. So
Mhm.
they think different and they
Right.
will
So he was an
accept something
outsider
different.
himself.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I had to make him somebody that was plausible because the only
Mm-hmm.
way you guys are going to stay in for 10 books is if it made sense.
Mhm.
And that's why Lorenzo and her sister made sense.
Marietta. And
And
that's another
that's
one I couldn't stand, but
Oh
I
my
told you that
Lord.
too.
Mm-mm.
And I know you tried to redeem her. I still didn't like her all the way to
Mm.
the end of the series,
well,
No.
that's
but
funny because it became a rivalry between you fans. Some stayed Mira and Giovanni to the end, others was Lorenzo and her to the end. And y'all would go at it and be like, "You're not
right,
writing enough scenes, it's not
right, right,
fair,
right,
I don't
right.
want to see that."
Just like we were doing with Shay and I can't think of the other woman's name.
Carlo.
Shay, well, no, Shay and between the two women. Remember, it was oh, it was between Marietta and Shay with Carlo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so much, so many layers and stuff. Okay, now you said you kind of touched on what you like wine. What other things? What kind of like writing routines or quirks do you have that you have to set the mood or get the creative juices flowing when you write?
Um, I typically have to read to get the creative juices flowing. So because I work in IT and I'm on a computer all day,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not inspired by taking a glass of wine just happily writing on a computer
Right.
because I write all day for work.
Right.
So what I do is I read books. But to avoid picking up on the stories and the genre I love, I
Mhm.
read opposite books. So I read horror. I
Okay.
read he gonna jump out of the closet and cut you up with a knife books. And that gets me in the mood.
I can see, and I love horror too. Yeah, I love horror too. Uh, now we kind of touched on this, or you kind of touched on this. How do you balance some of the darker themes of mafia story with like the romantic elements and make sure that one isn't overtaking the other? And I know we touched on this a little bit already.
Well, in Battaglia, which is not what I'm doing in my Vampire Mafia series, in Battaglia, there were very strict rules. Giovanni did not let her into his world. Therefore, if the story is about romance, you're only going to get peeks into his world. His world is going to be the mystery throughout the series. Why? What's the secret here? Who killed here? Who shot him? Does he know? Like those kind of things. But you don't write graphic scenes of murder, killing with your hero over and over again. It
Right.
takes you out of that.
Right.
So there are a handful of times where you've seen graphic murder. I think the most graphic thing that I ever wrote was what happened to Ronaldo.
And
So
oh my god, that
yeah,
broke my
So yeah. So to keep it on the romantic theme, they're kidnappings and they're like, he's gonna go down, that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
But
But
it's all about the pain of not having someone, the rescue of getting Eve back or whoever, and then the way that they reunite over and over again.
mm,
Just like Armando and Catalina, and how she
mm-hmm.
first wasn't in love, but towards the end, when they were on that boat and
I
you
love that
finally
scene.
realized that Armando was sincere, she was the love of his life, and then
Right.
he died. People wrote me constantly saying, okay, so he alive, he coming back,
Wait,
right?
we thought you were gonna bring him back. We said you
He
couldn't.
went in the ocean, he's
You
dead.
couldn't. You
I was
couldn't.
like,
Something happened. Somebody picked him up. Something. Wait. Oh my god. Cause we have to get into that too. Okay, so we're gonna start getting into. We're gonna get into all of this. Okay, so. But I wanted to ask you this. And I asked most of my authors who write mafia. What is your favorite mafia movie to watch?
Mm.
well, of course, Godfather. Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah, I
I
love
hated
two.
Godfather 3 for different reasons that other people do. But my favorite scene in Godfather was his relationship with his wife and how she kept
Okay.
trying to pull him towards the good, which is kind of
Yes.
like Mira. And
Right.
then that scene when she saw the door close and he was about to become that guy.
Mm.
And then the dynamic of their relationship turning the way it did, it took the romance out of it for me, because in my mafia stories, once you get down with him, you down to the end. So you
Right,
may not
because they didn't
agree,
stay together, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you're down to the end, because what's the point? If you got that so much moral conflict, then get out that man world. You ain't gonna change nobody. Get out of his world. So people were like, Mira, so she's so stupid. She's so whatever. She's conflicted. Yeah, she's conflicted, but she gonna stay. So
I always had a problem too. I thought it would have made it easier if he would have included her more, but I know that's not the culture.
no, that's
Included
what
her.
Bella Mafia was about. Because
Yeah.
your feedback was great. Yours and the small group of you guys. I'm not gonna call out anybody's names because I don't see them in the chat. But you ladies were like, okay, it's time for
Right.
her. Now she been here a long time. We're on
Right.
book, whatever. It's time for her to step up and help Giovanni.
Right.
So the only way I could do that is I had to put Giovanni to sleep. Because if he was awake, she wasn't getting in there. So I had to put him to sleep and then write the story when she got in.
Well, that is so true. Yeah, you're right. 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 Um,
Yeah.
Now, did you have anybody in mind as far as the look of Gio and Mirabella when you first started writing any
Definitely not the
celebrity or
guy on the
anything?
cover.
Okay,
Never
good.
him.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm glad I got rid of him. We ain't gonna say his name, but definitely not him. I'm so glad my book covers are different. Um, so I did have somebody for Aiden. That I actually used to look at his picture when I wrote Aiden, and that was Clive. What's his name? Clive Davis. I had a thing for him for some reason.
You talk about
Um,
the
The
producer, the
producer?
music producer.
no, not Clive
I was about
Davis.
to say.
What was his name? It was an actor, white actor. I can't remember his name. I thought it was Clive
Is it?
somebody.
What?
What's
I'm
his
about to
name?
look at it.
I'm gonna have to, no, I'll look him up. I'll look him
You
up.
saw the look
Because
on
he
Okay.
our faces.
played,
We were like, Clive Davis.
I'm about to
no,
say
not
no.
Clive Davis. He played in something though. Clive Owens, him, Clive Owens.
Oh,
Clive
Clive
okay.
Owen.
Owens was
Yes.
the guy that I had in mind for Aiden.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna be honest. This is back in my fan fiction days. This is the
Okay.
part that people don't know about me except for my fan fiction readers. I used to be very, very obsessed with One Life to Live and Young and the Restless.
Okay.
Okay.
And I wrote fan fiction for Young and the Restless. And the way that I would write fan fiction is the Victor Newman was obsessed with Drusilla. So I would write all these stories about Victor and Drusilla. And I had a whole following about them. And in One Life to Live, John McBain, who is this dusty looking man. Now, y'all look at him, you be like, that's not Giovanni. But in my head, he had a very hot and heavy um, relationship with Renee Elise Gooseberry. They had a
Mhm.
sex scene and all this stuff. And I wrote Giovanni off of them two,
Okay.
Renee and Michael Easton is his name. I wrote the story off of them two, not thinking about um mafia and Italian because he's Irish. I was thinking more about sex. So I
Okay.
just
Just
wrote
that thing.
something about
Okay.
them. I changed that afterwards. And then at that point, I created a new character in my head for
Right.
Giovanni in order to encapsulate. But when I wrote it in 2006, 2005, I was writing soap opera fan fiction. So I was
Okay.
taking people that were on TV and
Right.
putting them in scenarios. And in One Life to Live, he was a detective and she was a lawyer. But in the Battaglia series, he was the Don. Now, Battaglia, which is an Italian word, is the last name of an Italian woman who was my fan fiction reader when I was
Hmm.
writing it for the soap opera.
Okay.
So, because she wrote me so many love letters when I was writing for the soap opera, because I had a lot of white women reading me back then, I said, I'm going to name the story after you. There's
I
also,
love
when you
it.
open up Destino, there's a dedication to a young lady, another white woman, who pushed me to publish because
Okay.
she was Michael Easton's super fan and she wanted me to make it a book instead of doing it free. She died before I published the first book.
Okay.
So that's why I put a dedication to her. But the name Battaglia, and her name's Rosanna Battaglia, the one that gave me the Battaglia name. She's still my friend on Facebook. But the whole series was written off of her name.
I love that.
Love that so much.
Yes.
Cute.
Now, last question. What advice would you give to somebody just starting out in their writing journey?
So I know Kindle Bella is a turn off for a lot of people, but for
Mm-hmm.
people that are just getting into, I know why, I know it is. It's a breath of fresh air for us writers because it takes the pressure off of us to do a whole book and publish. We can
Okay.
experiment and develop characters and then take that and then refine it into a book and publish. So
Right.
that's why we love it. But for readers, serial reading is the antithesis of what you feel when you pick up a
Yeah,
book and you step
it's
in a
like
room.
frustrating. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I
I
don't
can't take
like
it.
I'm even when I released my book, I mean my new Kindle Bell book, I had to drop like 30 episodes just to get people in because I was like, ain't nobody gonna read one and then come back 2 weeks later and read another, right?
Right.
So, but if I'm a new writer and I'm
Mhm.
really trying to get out there, I would go into those spaces first.
Okay.
Because what you need to do is you need to get legs and understand how to build stories that bring people in. And when you just publish a book and you think, oh, okay, I'm just going to tell this story and it's going to be good, that a lot of times without a big publishing house and some
Mhm.
viral thing or something, that a lot of times takes away, like your first book is so scary.
Right.
You don't know, like you're so scared that people aren't going to like it, people going to criticize you. If you get crushed, then you stop going back for more. So I think
Right.
going into that would help.
I love that, and I love getting hearing the different advice that authors give. Such
Mhm.
great advice. Okay, so before we get into the story, let me get some of these
Got a
comments.
lot of comments.
Uh, so someone is asking, "Is this why we haven't heard about Nico and Eve?" Because I've been. Oh, that's the one I already did that one.
Mhm.
Someone is asking about, "Is this one of your Kindle Vellas? Pirates
Oh,
of
okay. Yes. So
Uh,
Pirates of Poochie Island.
Love the
That's a
name."
good,
that's a
that's a
name.
good, that's a good series, y'all. I'm telling you. And
Right.
I'm gonna get
But can
down
I
with it.
handle all the? I can't stand the cereal stuff. It's
I,
like, oh
I
my
know,
gosh.
I know, but I did 27 episodes of it. It's really, really good. And I'm going to go back, but the Vampire Mafia thing took off. So because people are actually coming in and reading it, I got to get ahead of it and write more
Right.
episodes and
Right.
schedule them. So what I'm doing is I'm dropping like 3 episodes a week. So I'm trying to get ahead of that so I can go back to Pirates of Coochie Island because it's a lot of fun to write that
Because I
book.
love
Oh,
pirate
you'll love
stories.
this. And see what's interesting, this is what I would recommend, especially
Okay.
for those that can't do it. I think what is it? It's I think for 2.99 you get 100 tokens. You get a
Mm-hmm.
hundred. And the first 10 are free. You bored, you don't have anything to do. I have 27 chapters out there.
Okay.
right? You could just sit down and read the first 10 for free. And for under $2, you could knock out the other 17 and get a taste of it's something that you could do. If I get people more interested in that becoming a series, then I would take it out of Kindle Vella and actually, because I really do want to put that in print.
Okay, so that's what my
But
question is, because I got sucked into a series by author that I love, and I just wanted to support. But then I got into and I actually waited a while before I went out there just
yeah,
so it could be a lot out there,
hmm
and I'm thinking it's gonna be done, and it's still going, and so I'm like, okay, I love the story, but I can't keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
yeah,
So
you gotta see. That was the problem with Battaglia. It was going on and on. It got to have an end date, an end game. I did end one series I put out there, Nefertari. That was just AI because I work with AI all the time. That's where that came from. So it didn't really do much for people because it wasn't really romance. But Pirates of Poochie Island is straight up romance. So I suggest that even if you don't want to read the vampire, that you just go check out Pirates of Poochie Island just to see why I call it Coochie Island and what's going on.
Just for
that
that.
name is definitely intriguing me for real.
Because the first 10 episodes that are free are so meaty, you may not even want to read the rest of them, but you could just go read those and be like, oh, so that's what the coochie is about. But yeah, I'll be revisiting.
Oh man. Okay, somebody is right there with me when they're saying they're still in pain over Ronaldo. Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
difficult.
hard. I
That
cried
was
when I wrote that scene.
yeah,
Mm.
that was very difficult. But I guess people have to die if it's a mafia series. I
I
guess.
mean, I had to kill one of them. And
Oh my
people,
God.
my editor was fighting me. She's like, you can't kill none of them. I was like, it's the mafia. Somebody got to die.
Right.
It could have been one of the ones that we weren't that invested in. I'm like, oh
Right.
my gosh.
But who was
I was like,
left? Y'all love that. Nobody. Because in the original series, Nico died
oh,
in the fight. But I was like, y'all
No.
can kill me if I kill Nico, so I'll kill both
oh
of them.
man. Erica is saying she thought Aiden and Diego were beats until Giovanni, each one crazier than the one before.
Yeah. I think Diego
I
was
think
crazier than
Aiden is actually crazier than I don't
Diego
know.
stabbed his mama with a fork. Ain't nothing crazier than
Oh
that.
yeah, true. Uh, Venus is saying, "Hey Sienna, love your writing, and I have read all your books, including TA4 books."
Yay, Venus.
Yay.
Jackie is saying, "Battaglia is so well written. We read the entire series during all the book clubs. The emotions were we went through. Yeah, you definitely gonna
Yes.
go through
Oh,
some emotions for real, for real, for real."
yay.
Uh, uh, she said she thinks the thought of Nico and Eve is so uncomfortable for many because of the relationship that you described. Well, I'm uncomfortable because he was in an uncle position and
Yeah,
he knew her as a baby. So
yeah,
to me, it's just
yeah,
very that right there is just uncomfortable for me. So,
yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
so
It
yeah,
is.
like you said, accepting it as romantic is difficult, most
Yeah,
definitely.
it
Um,
is. Because Nico loves Cecilia. And
yes,
his
that was
love.
another like tearjerker for me. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I was glad when Rosetta got
Oh my
hers.
Lord.
Uh,
Oh,
uh,
Erica said Mel and Tia. That is my favorite out of my books, Before
mhm.
Sunrise and Mel and Tia. Oh my God, I love Mel. Ooh. Even today, if you read Mel and Tia were great. That was
I'm
a
gonna have to read. I don't know if
great.
I read that one. I'm gonna have to read. Is
That
that one under
one.
Sienna?
Oh my God, it's called something else. It's like
Is
a
that
fair.
under
I
TN?
combined it all into one book now. What's it called? It's the Mel and Tia series, but I combined it into one book so you can get
Okay.
all three books in one. And I think it's like on KDP or something, but it is a good read.
Mel
Oh,
and
I love
Tia.
Mel.
This
Yeah,
is under Sienna Minks. This one.
yeah, it's under
Okay.
Sienna Minx.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Uh, someone that said they read the series at least 5 or 6 times, and so well written. But definitely, I love the last book. It had me longing for more. Some
Oh, thank you.
she's one that's saying she's for even Nico, not me. Like I can't do it. I do not want to see them read about them having sex and all that. Mm-mm. all for the kids having a romance that's not heavily steeped in the mafia. Jewel, Lola,
Lola,
all of
all of
them.
them. That's
Okay.
the kids. That's the next generation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would be good. And that's an interesting idea because if I'm able to just write romantic stories and
Mm-hmm.
they have these mysterious backgrounds, but they're not steeped in mafia, except for the two sons, that would be something. But for the rest of them,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe I can come up with something.
Someone is asking, can you explain Catalina's rude or do for
Mm.
Armando, please? Because that made me absolutely not. Really, I liked her with Armando because he let her be her.
Herself.
He didn't try to
Yeah.
stifle her. Dami, I think, was more of a childhood type relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
Armando
Dominic
saw
was
the
more
woman.
incestuous than Nico and Eve because they were raised as brother and
Yeah, they
sister.
were actually raised,
Yeah.
and
So it was
Gio thought of him as a brother, as his
Yeah.
brother.
he thought it was gross. He hated it from the moment he saw it to the very end. He hated it.
Right, and
All
you
of
and
it.
you wrote that thing well too, where he was so disgusted, like
He wanted to
and
just throw up. It was
and,
nasty.
and Mira tried to plead their case, but I loved her with Armando, and I think that's why I was rooting for them because she I liked her character more with him. She was
Yeah,
able
Catalina
to,
was a complicated character, but she
yes,
was a true to the bone. If you look it up in the dictionary, mafia princess.
yes,
Mm.
Spoiled,
Yeah.
bratty,
and she was
sheltered,
fierce too.
entitled.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, and
too.
everybody catered to her. Lorenzo, Dami, Giovanni,
yeah.
Carlo, all of them catered to her. So Armando was a man. He was the first man to step in that situation.
Right, right.
And
Mm-hmm.
she would always try to like handle him. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna let you get handled, but you ain't handling me. So it was this thing. And because Dami is her true love, the rebellion with Armando, it didn't feel very genuine for some readers that Catalina was really as invested because Armando was putting everything at risk
Yes.
to
Mm-hmm.
do that, to have her, because she was just doing it to get revenge because Giovanni kicked her out of the family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that if Catalina had matured and caught up to where Armando was, theirs
Mm-hmm.
would have been a greater love story than hers and Dami.
I think
Dami
so
had
too.
trauma that put him in the mindset of a love relationship with Catalina.
Mm-hmm.
Armando loved her as a woman, an
Yes.
individual woman
Right.
that wasn't associated to no trauma for him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to be said about being loved for just yourself, not
Right.
for how somebody perceives you to be.
Right.
And I think he saw her in her element when she was working at with Mirabella for Mirabella. So he already
Mhm.
saw her at that level and what she was capable of, and saw her in that a career minded individual,
He
and
saw all the things in her that her big brothers and uncles and whatever could
didn't
never
want to,
see in
yeah,
her.
that they wanted to
Right.
crush.
And it wasn't until she lost him that she was like, "Oh, I really did love him. Like, what the hell?
Right.
How's that
Mm-hmm.
possible?" But I think that just makes for good storytelling. But
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like I kind of scapegoated Armando a lot in the story. I felt like as a Mancini, he should have had as much power and authority as Giovanni and
Right.
been
I think so.
more
Yeah.
of an adversary than I wrote. And it was because there are some strong Catalina and Dami fans that hated his guts. I also think that his relationship with Marietta was genuine and he wanted one with Mirabella.
I do.
He did.
That came through actually.
It
I
did.
think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mhm.
actually wanted Mira to give him more of a chance, but I think she held back because of uh, how he felt about him.
Mhm.
She wouldn't let it.
Mhm.
She wouldn't let it be. But
Mhm.
now we're gonna start with book one, Destino.
Mhm.
Now, so okay, so those who haven't read the series, in Destino, that's when Mirabella, she's a famous fashion designer when they meet. So her and
Mhm.
her best friend, who's her manager, Fabiana, they go to Italy, and that's
Mhm.
where she meets Gio. Um,
Mhm.
so this is one of my problems with Giovanni. When he met her, she was this famous fashion designer. You knew who you were getting
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
when you pursued her, but he kept, like, just like with Catalina, he kept trying to suppress it. Um,
Mhm.
because he wanted her in that role of
Mother and
housewife or
wife.
mother or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the main issues I had with him as far as that, and then trying to take her business. I mean, just a lot of stuff that was going
Mm-hmm.
on, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to be more like in sync than him trying to manipulate her and all of that.
So I think one of the best chapters in the series that explains Giovanni's love for Mira and her struggle is chapter 3 of La Sposa. It is a New Year's Eve chapter. She has spent all night working on her wedding dress.
Mm.
She's pregnant. She's tired. She comes in the room and he literally just, criticizes her and why are you
Right.
doing that? Gucci could have bought you a dress and when you're there,
I
just
remember
doing
that.
that stuff
Yes.
that sometimes when you marry, not that I've been married, so I don't know, but I'm just making this up. When you marry, your husband is kind of on you and they're not reading what you're giving.
Mhm.
And she's masking that she's in pain and everything, but she's trying to do what brings her joy, which is create and design and everything. And he's trying to just be control, control, control. And in that chapter, he sees what he's doing. He sees it so much that when she goes to sleep, and after he apologizes, she goes to sleep, he gets up and he plays the guitar for her. And the
Mm.
good
Yeah.
and the tradition was that he would go out, like how Franco did Catalina, play the
Right.
guitar for her and all this serenade for the
Mhm.
tradition. But he does it in the room. And she's like, well, why didn't I get a serenade in front of everyone else? And she sees how shy it is for him to do something like that
Mm.
because some men in those cultures, they're so tied to the patriarchy,
Right.
control. I got to be a man, man, all the time, control you, control this, control that. That when he had to take his walls down, he was like, I know she's not going to make fun of me that I can't play this guitar, everything. She's going to just let me try.
Mhm.
And that she created a safe space for him to say, okay, Giovanni, I get you. I know you don't intentionally want to hurt me with these controlling ways, but I know you don't have the examples of manhood, fatherhood, husbandhood, where
Mhm.
you've seen positive examples of how a man and a woman could unite and be partnered. You're basing it off of everything you know culturally. And this was you coming in and saying, letting your guard down. That chapter, if you go back and read it now after reading the whole series, it
Mm-hmm.
makes Giovanni's actions and some of the egregious things he did, because he did try her quite
Mm-hmm.
often.
Yes.
Yes.
It makes sense for the push and pull between them, because for
Mm-hmm.
the rest of their marriage, it was always that dynamic. Her trying to bring him to this state, him always trying to manage things, but
Right.
him knowing that he can't go too far.
Right.
I
Right.
think that people should look at that chapter for an answer.
I'll definitely go reread that.
No.
On Instagram, we have Erica Allen is saying hi, Sienna. She said you're
That's my
discussing one of her
boo. That's
favorite
my boo.
series.
That's my boo. Love
Hi,
her.
Erica. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay,
Love that.
so and thank you, Erica. I had reached out to her when I was trying to reach out to you, and she told me that you were
Yeah,
back on
that's
Instagram.
my boo.
Okay, so in Destino, book one, Katina, what was one of your standout moments or something that stood out to you? Do you remember Destino when they first meet?
When they first meet, because there's so many moments. Um, I think it was. I think it was their date. Was it their first date when they fell into the water or something?
Oh yeah, he took her to the Villa, whatever that place. Yeah, in Lake Como. Was it
Yes,
Lake Como?
Oh,
I
Yeah,
think
yep.
yeah.
so.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm-hmm.
was trying to be,
Bellagio, I think. I don't remember.
like real macho about it, and she thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
he
soaking
ain't like
wet
it.
in his suit.
He ain't like her laughing at him.
Right,
Yeah.
you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but another one that stood out was, I guess, Fabio.
Uh-huh.
Fabiana.
Fab, what's his name?
Fabio,
Fabio.
the guy in the restaurant.
Fabio.
Oh, I thought
His
you said Fabiana. Okay.
his advisor. What was it? Was it Fabio? Fabian?
Oh, the old consigliere. Yes.
Yeah, FAL,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
LLABIA.
the
Mm-hmm.
way that he
I couldn't stand him. Yes.
the way that he
Yeah.
treated Mirabella, at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah. That caused all of that. So it's interesting when I did research on consigliaries because they are tied to just being, and you saw it in the Mafia series too. They are tied to being the family council or whatever.
Right, right.
But I think Flavio also just had a disdain for having a black woman as Giovanni's
Right, because he was very
choice.
traditional, set in those old ways.
Yes, and it was already hard to keep Giovanni legitimized being half Irish.
Right.
And then bringing this woman who is nationally renowned and known into this world exposes so many things. Pushing her away was, in my mind, it was his duty as a consigliere of a mafia organization to handle it that way, to get her, because sometimes their dons just don't get it, and you got to protect the family, and you got to protect
Right.
them, and you got to make some hard choices. And I think he made the hard choice.
He
And I
did.
and I actually understood it. I was glad that he didn't kill her
Right.
because that could have been something
Mhm,
else, and he could pretend like something happened to
mhm,
her.
mhm,
So I'm glad he just
mhm.
put her on a plane.
Yeah, he put
But
her on a plane and said, "Just go away, go back to your
right,
stuff, go back to
Mhm.
America.
How about the
He'll be all right. He'll get over it."
business?
but I could see how traumatic that whole experience was for her. She just lost her best friend. That was
Oh
one of the
yeah,
standout moments to me. What happened with when she found out that Fabiana knew
Yeah.
who Gio and Lorenzo really were,
Mhm.
yeah,
what world they were in, and kept all of that from her. And then knowing that they wanted her building, and Fabiana knew about the back dealings and stuff with that,
yeah,
and didn't tell her. So even with her, they kept her like in this little protective like bubble,
Yeah.
um,
mhm,
thinking that she wasn't strong enough to handle certain things.
Mhm.
mhm.
Um, but that was a hard scene for me when they were arguing in the car.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah,
Mirabella, she gets out the car and Fabiana
yeah,
stays in. And then Mira
Mhm.
turns because she said, okay, this is my friend. And she goes
yeah,
back to try to talk to
Yeah.
her. And then the car explodes.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That was hard.
yeah,
That was hard.
yeah.
That was
And I
hard. That
think
was hard.
Mira had been traumatized from that point on,
Yes.
because I think once she lost her, she became more receptive to Giovanni's control, his life, because
Hmm.
she just didn't have anything to return to. She tried it when she disappeared for some time, but when he showed up, she was like, "Okay, I'm packing my stuff and going with you," because
Right.
it just she had a baby,
Right.
like, you know, if you looked at how Fabiana ran her whole life, her
Yes.
business,
Right. Even the
whenever she got
business. Right.
nervous and they went on stage, she was there to make her right, do her makeup, do her hair, like, because they had that kind of relationship. It was like losing the other half of you. So she
Yeah.
didn't have anybody after that.
And you showed us this throughout the series basically because she still had dreams of anytime she was in any type of trouble, Fabiana
Yeah.
was there guiding her.
Yeah, she
She
was.
dreamt about
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, she
So
dreamt
I figured,
about her. It's
yeah.
it's trauma. It's PTSD. And yeah,
Hmm.
she had it deep. And he had a lot of guilt. But he was mad as hell when she left him. She was alive, living somewhere else. He was
Yes,
mad
yes,
about that.
yes,
He
yes,
was mad at
yes,
her about
yes.
that now. He's mad.
But you know what?
uh,
A lighter moment in there was probably when she met Rocco, and he was like,
Oh yeah. But that is a moment for me in Italy. Rocco comes directly from when I was in Italy. We went to a vineyard that was right next to Mount Vesuvius. And there was this Italian family. There was a Rocco, there was a Zia, there were all of them there.
okay.
They
"Oh."
brought us into the vineyard. They cooked we cooked with the family.
Mhm.
And Rocco kept feeling on me the whole time. Oh look, I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
man, get off. Oh look, Italian man. He took my hand. My girlfriend got to tell you, right? She got a picture. I'm gonna find the picture and put it on the thing. He takes me in the vineyard and he wants to walk the vineyard holding my hand. Then
Oh.
he stops and he starts feeding me grapes. And the
Oh.
other black women I was with, it was like, Tyrus, what is you doing? This man is 100 years old. Why are you letting him touch on you and all this? But he was so cute. And he was so like, so when you read in Destino how Rocco was just like all over
Right.
Mirabella and kissing on her,
Yes.
that's what happened to me in Italy. That's I put that in the book.
And
Yeah.
I actually liked Rocco's character.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I didn't like Zia at first,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I did
Hmm.
like him. Now Jackie is saying that she always pictured Gio as David Gandy. I have to look him up. I don't know who that
Oh
is.
yeah, that somebody sent me his picture a while I was deeper into the story, and he became the face of it. He became David Gandy y'all got to Google him right now. That's who Giovanni is. That's right. Thank you, Jackie. That's right.
All right, and okay, so let me go back out of here. Okay, so um now at the end of Destino, Rocco puts Mira on the plane. She finds out that she's pregnant with Jill's baby. She contacts, well, she doesn't know if she's pregnant right away, but she contacts Kai, her ex, who is
Hmm.
the rich businessman,
Hmm.
and he hides her. He helps her.
Yeah.
But we found out later that he was doing all kind of
Mm-hmm.
manipulating things too. But okay, so Tiamo book 2, and Mira is living in hiding in Switzerland with Kai and baby Eve, and everybody thinks she's dead now. And I told you this a long time ago too.
Hmm.
I love when authors write three dimensional children, you know, their personalities where they're not
Hmm.
just flat.
Hmm.
I loved baby Eve, Tyler
Yeah.
Eve, and her pacifier, because I could relate
Yes.
because I was like that with my pacifier.
Yeah.
I was ready to fight if you took my pacifier away. So
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
some of my standout moments in the book is when Gio does find out about Mira being alive, and he goes to Switzerland and he
Mhm.
meets his daughter, and he takes her in the kitchen because she
Cookies.
loves cookies,
Hmm.
and he's letting her have the whole box, and you know, giving her whatever she wants. And Mira's like, you can't let her eat that. You know, she's a baby; she'll eat the entire thing. And Gio kept calling her pacifier a plug. He said, "Why do you have that plug in her mouth?" That had me rolling. And Mira was like, "It's not a plug; it's a pacifier." And he kept trying to take it from her, and Eve was not to be deterred. She said, "Cookie or not," she would grab it right back, plop it right in her mouth. I loved all those things with the pacifier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a lot of beautiful babies in my family. My cousins are in here. Shannon Denon is one. Her daughter, uh, she was born after Eve. I wrote the book of Eve, but all the babies in our family all have a pacifier. I don't think. Shannon, I don't think your daughter did, but most of them did, and that's where I get the pacifier scene. We couldn't. It was a whole thing when it's time to get them off of pacifiers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and poor Catalina, when she meets baby Eve, and then she tries to give Gio and Mira a
A
night
break.
alone, and
Yeah.
she loses the pacifier,
Oh yeah.
and Eve is screaming up a storm, and and when she finally gets finds the pacifier, I don't know. Eve starts calling her Nippy, and
Yes.
Yeah.
that's her
Yeah.
word for, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
word for
I forgot about
Catalina.
that. Thank y'all for reminding me of that. I
Yes.
forgot about that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite
I love
moments
all of
too.
those. I love just the little moments like that in the series.
They felt like a real family. After
They
by
did.
the time you got to La Famiglia, you had already been
Hmm.
vested. You had decided
Yeah,
who you would team, who you didn't
yeah,
like.
Right.
It became a thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see some of the comments. Um, we don't get Kindle Vella in UK, but I hope someday to read it. I really enjoyed your other vampire book Chosen, so I know this series will be great.
Jackie is a true friend because ain't nobody read Chosen
I
either.
didn't even know
Thank
you
you,
wrote
Jackie.
another a vampire. I'm gonna have to look at because I love vampire stories. So I'm gonna have to look at that too.
You would love the story I'm writing. I'm telling you, it's already up there with 40
See, I
episodes.
know
You
you're
should
trying to
read it.
get me to go back into Kindle, but I can't. I'm gonna do it. I'm
It's
gonna do it.
hard
I'm
to
gonna
do
do it
it.
for you.
I'm gonna gift
But
you some tokens and make you read it. Hmm. But thank you, Jackie. Chosen was fun to write too. You girl, Jackie has been in the game with me from the beginning, all the way in the UK. And Jackie, don't worry about it. I am going to eventually start taking some of those down and making them into books. I'm using this as a platform for me to get back into my novel writing. I
hmm
needed a way to get back into it. So you'll get it.
and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Uh, Zula Bell is saying Catalina grew up with, yes, she did. She grew up with Armando. She became a
Mhm.
woman. In the end, Dami benefited from her maturing true.
Yes, he did. In the
Mhm.
end, Catalina became better for it. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And Dami
Armando had
matured
his,
too.
he had his purpose. I mean, he had a purpose in her life.
Yeah.
Um, and I still was looking for that boat that had picked him up, and we didn't know, and he was gonna come back
Well,
to.
no
I'm
boat
like,
picking up. He was swimming with the fishes, honey. It
They
was
knew what
over.
was coming.
oh man.
That's funny.
Um, let's see. Let's
Let's
see.
see
She
what
said
she
something
said.
about the conciliar. And you were right to have written it that way. I guess she's talking about with Flavio.
Flavio, yeah.
That would
Mhm.
be the best
Yeah, it's
situation to go in.
reality. That's the other
Mhm.
thing I'm telling you. I mean, I know y'all love your authors and everything, but you held me accountable, so you got to hold them accountable. They have to write. It has to be plausibility in romance. If not, it is strange fiction. So
Right.
you need to just make sure, because that's where you get the enjoyment of a real life scenario. That's why I think Twyla's fiction is so great. Some of the fiction that she puts out, because she really puts like real life textured characters in her story.
Who?
Twyla Turner.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tiamo, I love when Gio takes Eve to the pantry. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I love that scene too. Then
Yeah.
that's what I'm telling Sienna. I love these little moments between baby Eve and the rest of the family, especially with Gio when he first meets her. Cause he just trying to get on her good side and giving her a whole bag of
I
cookies.
know.
But he's not used to babies, so he wouldn't know.
Yeah.
um,
Tiamo was a very well written book. I think
that's actually one of my
yeah.
favorites of the series.
Yeah. That one I actually go back and reread that one. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not too long. It's very short and it's very well written, no errors in it. I mean, it's just really well written. And it really captures the essence of that whole we got to discover each other again kind of story.
Yes, and I love too the way you describe. We get I kind of could visualize when they were coming when they arrived in Switzerland,
Yeah.
and just
Oh, when they were driving to the house and they
yeah,
passed them. Yeah,
yes. I
Yeah.
just
it was
could
funny.
visualize all of it. I'm
All of
like,
it.
She knew what was up. She knew what was up. She saw them
She
cars.
knew
She
it.
was like, "Oh shit."
She was
oh
like, okay,
man.
stay in the car.
Uh-huh.
About
Uh-huh.
to go down.
And Sheila Kay is saying, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the Fratelli to get published.
Yeah. Fratelli has turned out to be so much fun to write because it's not really mafia, it's more cartel. I'm kind of squeezing mafia in there, but it's more cartel because I said it's
Okay.
modern day. But it is this vampire is he eating people, so he a little bit more crazier than Giovanni.
Okay, you gonna make me have to. Okay,
Wait.
okay.
He eating
Uh,
people. I'm sorry. He jumping down on folks.
so he not
Yes,
just
it's a
taking their blood; he eating them.
he eating them, girl. So yeah, it's a thing.
Erica is saying one of the things that stands out for her was when Gio and Kai's had Kai's eye brought to him in a box. Yeah,
Yes.
that was brutal.
Yeah.
And but
Yes.
that actually is what changed, I think, Kai to the point where
He
because
went
at first he
crazy.
still was he wanted to protect Mirabella,
Right.
but
Yeah, but then he was pissed.
He
right.
was
He
So
was
that
pissed.
actually was, like the path
The
to
dark
what
side.
happened between them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But you know
there's
what?
always
I always try to find like Cheryl. I like those small moments and those things that nobody probably really pays attention to, like
Mhm.
Rocco taking the TV apart at
Oh
Christmas.
yeah, and
Like, yo,
I have somebody that does that. I'm like, why are you taking stuff? I mean, not my husband, but somebody in his family does that.
Taking the TV apart. Then everybody, what? It's a brand new TV. What are you doing? He in there
So that
trying to
reminded
fix
me
it.
of that when I read that scene.
that just took me. Cause I think it started with I think him and Rocco and Dominic were like arguing over the Christmas
The
lights.
Christmas lights, yeah,
Yeah.
because
And
he
then
kept wanting
Rocco
to
goes,
plug them in to see if, and Donnie trying to get him, Donnie trying to get him hug on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a good one, and I love that Mira introduced all of them to
yes.
Motown
Yeah,
Mhm.
Christmas
Christmas
music.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Loved it,
yeah.
loved it, loved it.
And I have that Motown Christmas CD. I had it, but I threw it away. We're gonna listen to CDs no
Yeah,
more.
I have
But I
some
used to
too.
have it.
That's
Yeah,
old school. Yeah, that was
Oh
yeah.
man.
well then.
Loved it, loved it. Anybody else have any favorites from Tiamo while we're still on Tiamo? Uh, put it in the comments. Let me look over here on Instagram.
I like the part two also. During that same time frame with Christmas time, I think it was Catalina that gave him the Christmas gift, the watch, his father's watch. I think.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
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 Mhm.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
good.
They had Catalina and Giovanni had a beautiful relationship, but when he pissed her off, it was
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
it
When
was.
he
that was a
when he
difficult scene. I mean,
yeah,
bunch of scenes, yes, but
yeah,
between him and Catalina, when
yeah,
he like blanked out and actually hurt her,
yeah. Put
and Mira
hands
was
on.
like, yeah, Mira was
Yeah,
like, just like, what is wrong with you? And
you done lost your damn mind. They're
right,
joking, people. It's crazy.
your baby sister on,
Yeah,
it was just
yeah,
crazy. And then the
yeah.
way his men started disrespecting her. Now that was another hard scene for me. And we done moved off of Tiamo. Now we back
Yeah.
into. Well, we just go hit highlights. Okay,
Yeah.
so because I can't even remember what book this was. This was
I think
uh,
this was it was
it
La
was
Sposa, I think, because this was when he found out about the Dami thing, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
that happened in La Sposa.
I think so.
and then
Hmm.
another one that stood out to me is when she went to the hospital after he was shot, and the way his men were talking to her, and because I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
if Carlo, Ronaldo, Nico was there,
yeah.
that they wouldn't have treated her like that
They
because
wouldn't
they
have
would have
treated her that
known,
way.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it was just heartbreaking, and then her all alone in there with Gio, and she's telling him that she loves him,
Mhm.
and she doesn't think anybody wants her, around the family anymore. And because Mira is dealing with so much, she doesn't even know. She's trying to find Catalina, but she's right there at the hospital, but they don't know.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
so and that drives her in the arms of Armando.
Well, let me give you my assessment of the 10 real quick, right?
Okay.
And I'll do it quick. Destino, I felt like that was a good intro into the mafia world and into
Mhm.
Gio and Mira being the end game. I told all my readers that I don't care who y'all favorites are, those two are the end game.
I remember you saying that,
I
right?
said it. I said it. Tiamo, I think, is when we really got to a dynamic where we started caring a little bit more about the outside players in the family. I think that that's
Mm-hmm.
when it really started taking off, where us to look at it as a family saga.
Mhm.
La Sposa was the most beautifully written book. If you look at the prose and how things were described about the blue rose and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find the romantic side of Gio very heavily in La Sposa. La
Mhm.
Famiglia was the most heartbreaking book. You learn about her mama and what
Oh
happened to
yeah.
James Walker, why he was
Mhm.
serving time in prison,
Yeah.
Mancino, and what he did. You
Mhm.
know, some people got upset with La Famiglia. They did not want her to be a mixed woman. They wanted an African American woman in this story. So making her part Italian
Italian,
was
right?
a deviation from what I did originally with her.
Right.
So they were like, no, I don't like that, Sienna. Why do we have to have it always be about the Italian? It's us in their world, but she needs to be an African American woman. And I tried to compensate that by saying she was raised African American. She didn't know that she was that. And there, you could look at Halle Berry every day and say she a light skinned black woman. You wouldn't know that she's mixed. I mean, you
Right.
could have people that
Right.
are mixed, but there are black people that don't look mixed, right? So
Right.
I that was a difficult thing, but I think that book was the time when we got more into mafia than romance. That's when this story.
Mhm.
Um, Amore was the highest sell, not only the highest selling, the best selling book out of all of them.
Oh,
I can't
really?
tell you
Okay.
why. The
Yeah.
reason I say that is because from an author standpoint, from the moment you drop your book and that first 2 weeks or week of sales, how many people come in and buy it kind of can get you on the bestsellers list and everything. Out of all the books I've written, the most money I've ever made in my career as a writing was Amore.
Okay.
But it
Okay.
was also a changing point. Amore was the book where either a reader decided to stay with me or readers left. They was like,
Mhm.
okay, I've had enough of this series. I don't want to read no more. That was good. I'm satisfied. And I got emails saying goodbye, Sienna. So Amore was
Oh,
that book,
Okay.
wow.
right? Now, the one that I lost the most readers was La Dolce Vita when they went to America.
Mhm.
It was a very long, heavily on flashbacks of her past, her
Mhm.
grandmama, her aunt,
Mhm.
how Drusilla.
Mhm.
People was like, "Oh, I do not like this." So a lot of people checked out with La Dolce Vita.
Mhm.
Then came Bella Mafia. The people that left because of Amore came back for Bella Mafia. What was
Mm.
unique to them in Bella Mafia was that she was the one. One of
Mhm.
the biggest scenes that people wrote me the most about is when she went into that area in Italy and they were flashing the flashlight at her and everybody
Mhm.
was recognizing her as the Donna.
Right.
And
Mhm.
then the other scene when she was in that room with old boy and Giovanni woke up and saw them
That's one of
hugging.
my favorite standout moments. Yes, yes, yes.
He was like, he gonna kill everybody. And when he got out of that bed, he did kill her right in front of her and told her, yeah, don't you ever like. And that's when everybody was like, oh, you went too far. Why would Giovanni wouldn't do it? I
Cause she
said,
was very close to Chile or whatever his name. Yes.
and he picked up on that. He was like, me and I'll take both of you and me and out. Now, I know a lot of people felt that he was wrong. And even I felt wrong in writing it because I don't like writing violence against women. And it's just not something that I'm into and I don't see it.
Mhm.
But his
Mhm.
character had deteriorated because at that point he knew about Lorenzo's betrayal. He was
Mhm.
losing control of his family. He felt weakened by his time of having his wife, who throughout all of the series was never allowed to run his business and do it successfully.
And do it right.
And then he saw that with his death, she would move on. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not like with her death, he probably wouldn't touch another woman. That's how obsessed he was with her. But
Mhm.
with his death, she would move on. And that sent him to the darkest place that they ever been. I don't know how they recovered because the Omerta books that I did, one and
Right.
two, was just complicated after
Mhm.
that. Both of those books
Mhm.
was just stumbling through killings, this, that, a lot of
Mhm.
drama till we got to the very end. And
Mhm.
that was Vita Mia. Vita Mia was the conclusion flashing forward to the future.
Right.
Now, what I keep talking about plausibility is always the end game for Giovanni. I researched a Sicilian Don who had got arrested, who was going to be sent to prison for life, who absconded. Now this one, he stayed in Italy in a cave for
Mhm.
10, 15 years. I'll give y'all the article before he
Wow.
came back out to avoid jail. So
Mhm.
what I did with Giovanni going away, living in Cuba, doing
Right.
what he
In the
did,
Cubas.
disappearing, that was plausible in that time period. So I had always known that they would go through that. But in going through that, what was left of the family after losing Ronaldo, losing these people, him going to jail, all the trauma,
It was a lot.
it was a lot. It disintegrated the family unit and brought them to the point that they were. And that
Mhm.
is typical in any mafia story. That's why mafia writers, the ones that are just putting them out, nobody like I bow down and kiss the feet of Kenya Wright. So that's my girl when it comes to my her books. Anybody that comes to me and says, Sienna, I miss your writing, who to read, I send them to her.
Mhm.
But the other ones that are so commercialized, they play with the game of it being crime and romance. Criminal activity is not romantic. So at the very end, the trope of romance is a happily ever after. If somebody is reading my mafia stories, you're going to get a halfway happy ever after. It's not going to be a happily ever after because
Mhm.
it's mafia and it don't
Mhm.
happen that way. Somebody's going to have to pay. I think the biggest example of that was the one what was that series that was out there with them doing meth? What's that guy? That
Oh,
series at Aris, they were doing meth.
yeah.
Um what's
Breaking
the one?
Breaking
Breaking
Bad.
Bad. Like, he just wanted the money for his family. But look at the very end. He had a whole barrel full of money. He had done all that. He had
But
lost his wife, he had
he
lost
had
his
lost him.
son,
Right.
the brother-in-law was killed. He still had this barrel of money and he couldn't even give it to him because he paid such a heavy price. That's the kind of story texture that makes you believe in the love, because you have to deal with the pain. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why Vita Mia was so important, that it ended in that way. But I still kept a lot of people alive, so I broke some rules.
You did, but it was like it's still you felt kind of still unlike uncertain about how everything was
Yes.
gonna
Yeah.
play out.
Yeah.
But um, okay, so I want to get back a little bit to Mira and to Chini getting close. I felt like he gave her something that she didn't even get from Geo, and that's why he was able to get as close to her as he was. Um, what's your take on that as far as um their relationship is and what she may have been getting from him?
I think sometimes when you read a couple in a series and you get bored of their romance story. Like you've seen them go through so much that you're just like,
Right.
okay, yeah, Jill's this, Mira gonna come in and do this. I think having a character come in between them that could actually be a good fit for Mira, somebody
And he
that
was.
desires her,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
somebody that understood her world, understood her
Right.
struggle, somebody that could pick up where Gio left off and carry the torch, somebody she was attracted to. It putting that in added the spice and flavor that I needed in the series after people have had reader fatigue after
Mm-hmm.
being with it for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm most disappointed about is that I lost so many readers during Amore. I did not get them back with Bella Mafia. And I think if they went back and read Bella Mafia, even if they don't go read the other ones, they'll find that that book is as textured and feeling and as good as Tiamo and La
Mm-hmm.
Sposa and Destino.
Mm-hmm.
I think that book, the four of them together, would be on a bookshelf as books that you just read over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And because even me, I was thinking, okay, I can see her with this guy.
Yeah,
I actually don't hate them
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah. Because you
Um,
had to, because if he was a goofball or he was clumsy or he was too much, you would have been like, ah, Jill, wake up. Like I'm done
right,
with
right,
him. He ain't the
right,
one.
right.
He's a hater. He can go.
Oh
But
man.
if Jill didn't wake up, like he would have stepped up and she would have slipped in
Right,
eventually. She was still team Jill. She wasn't seeing it the way other people were seeing it,
right, right,
Right.
but he was bringing her into the fact that he lost his wife and he had this
right.
pain and all of that. So he was wearing her down.
And
Mm-hmm.
poor Leo, because he was the one that was assigned to Mira, and so he got to see all of this, and he knew it
Yeah.
was like inappropriate how close they were getting, and
Yeah.
but
He knew it.
what could he do?
What could he do? But Leo was there for the very beginning, standing outside that door while they slept,
Yes,
fought,
yes,
whatever. He was always there. Yeah, for
Always.
yes.
sure.
Always.
Uh, Jackie is saying she absolutely loved the scene in Cuba when they all came together. For me,
Yep.
yeah, I liked when they came together too, and we got
Yeah. It was a
more of
perfect ending.
Marietta's daughter, and
Yep.
loved
They
all
were
of
a
that.
family.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loved it, loved it, loved it. Um, okay, so you said are you planning? What is the next
So
thing?
I am
That's coming?
planning on releasing, I have one, two, three, four, a 4 book series. It's going to be set in the 70s. Sorry, I gotta do a period piece. It is
I love it.
mafia.
I'm here for it.
It's a new mafia family. It's a new mafia dynamic. Is going to start that whole feeling again of this dynamic. It won't be as romanticized as Battaglia because they were in Italy and he was wealthy and all of this.
Right.
So it's more of a guy that's more of an enforcer in a
Oh,
family and a
okay.
woman that gets into that situation. But I have the book covers all laid out. I actually have an outline for it. I'm like me outlining, so I'm sure I'm going to change that. But I am going to do that, which is why I'm doing this vampire series now, because now that I'm working with these and I got several Dons in this vampire series. I got 4 Dons in this vampire series.
Okay.
Now that I'm doing this, I am getting back into the culture of it, speaking the language of it, and then I did some research on the plausibility of it. So I am going to do that. Um, I am going to finish Pirates of Coochie Island. I am going to finish that 3 book series that I have. I have the third book written. I just got to go back and fix it. That I did with those girlfriends, those 3 friends with
Okay.
the murder that they did. I am
Mhm.
going to finish that. So what I can say this year, depending on this Kindle Vella stuff, because it's getting way out of hand. People are starting to sign in and read it, and it's going crazy. So I got to see what that is. But I'm definitely going to have something in place book wise this year that
Yeah.
will come out from that series.
I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
your mafia
Yeah.
world. So I can't wait to see what you come up with for
Yeah.
this time period
Kenya
in the
is my
70s.
inspiration. Kenya Wright talked to
Uh,
me, gave me a pep talk, told me all kind of things. I was like, wow, I didn't know. She really is. And then Pepper. Y'all have no idea how Pepper Pace get me going. She
aw.
support me. She called the 2 years I wasn't writing. She still was right there in my corner. She's everything. Jackie, Renee, Sydney, a day. These writers that out there, I
Mm-hmm.
go away with them for a week, sit in the house with them. They pour into me, and they
Wow.
really help me find my voice again. So I am going to return to writing.
Yeah, Sydney is one of my favorites, and I love her little Patreon. I got Katina
Yeah,
into it too,
Yes.
and I love her.
yeah.
I love her Crimson series, but that I can't.
I
The
know,
Kindle
I know,
Bella,
I know, I know, I know. It's
but
hard.
I love it. But I love it. I love it. Uh,
I know it's hard, but I'm back. I know
Sheila K
people
says
may
she
not
need
see
Kenya
me, but
on
I'm
the
back.
podcast. I will write. I will reach out to Kenya and have her on the show.
Definitely.
Oh yes, bring her on, please do.
Yeah,
Please
that's
bring her
when
on the show. She's
somebody
so
on.
fabulous. I met her at the authors thing in New Orleans that they had. She's just a fabulous, beautiful person inside and out. I can't sing her praises enough.
Yeah,
Y'all,
I
and
love
she
her too.
talented.
I communicated through with her on Facebook and stuff, but yeah, I
Hmm.
haven't had her on the show yet. I'm trying to also get Latrivia Welch on the show because I love Dimitri
Oh,
too.
is she still writing?
I don't know. Actually, I was gonna ask you how to get because I've been trying to get in touch with her. So I don't
I
know.
I haven't seen, talk, heard from the trivia in 4 years. I don't know.
Oh, it's been okay.
Before COVID was the last time I saw any of them. So I
Because that's
don't
another
know.
outstanding mafia series, and I love the
Hmm.
Russian world that she created
Yeah,
there.
she
Yeah.
got Russia on lockdown, baby.
Yes, 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 yes.
Hmm.
You all have really. I love these books. Love them, love them, love them. But
Good, because books, that's the good thing about a good book. No matter what, you can always go back to it. It can always be there. It
mhm.
doesn't go away. Yes, that's the good thing
Because
about a book.
even with me going back just to get in this world again, the Battaglia world, it was like
Hmm.
reading it for the first time again. I loved
Hmm.
it. I actually ended up reading all of Tiamo again
Yeah, I
instead of
told you
just
Tiamo's a quick read and it's good. Yeah,
It's good.
you can do that. You can do
and
that with
then I
Tiamo.
also read all of what's the other one I read the entire thing instead of skimming it. What was it? Uh
What's the Destino? When you didn't read the first one.
um I skimmed that because I remember a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was
La Sposa?
Vita. What is it? La Dolce
Vita
Vita.
Mia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Vita Mia.
no, La Dolce Vita. I think is the
La
one I
Dolce Vita.
level. Yeah, that one is the one
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I read most of Belladonna, Bella Mafia again.
Oh wow. You getting
Yeah,
down.
so I love this world, love it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. And I guess I'll try out the books on the episodes on
You
Kindle
ain't gotta
Vella.
commit, girl. You just gotta read the free thing and back away.
But then I'm gonna want more. That's the thing.
I know you want more. Oh my
That's
You
the
goodness.
ain't got
hiccup
to
right there.
commit.
I'm gonna want more of it. Oh man, I already know I am. Sheila is saying on that would be great, even if she doesn't write anymore. Oh yeah, Latrivia. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get her.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find somebody who's still in contact with her, so I'll keep you all posted on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that would be great to have her and talk about that series as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go, we have a giveaway. So I hope you all
Mhm.
were paying attention. The first person to put the correct answer will be our winner today. Instagram, you also put it out. Make sure to look over there as well.
Yeah, I'll check too.
Okay, so I asked Sienna what was her first book. She said it wasn't under Sienna Minks. It was under a different name. And if you could tell me the name she wrote it under and the name of the book. Hopefully y'all were listening. Zoe, TA4, go. Erica, congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, so Erica George is the winner. And
Erica gets a $50 Amazon card to read Kimmel Dobella. No, I'm
oh
just
my
playing.
goodness. Congratulations.
So you get a $50 Amazon card for whatever it is. So I'll just need her information.
Okay, I'll send it over to
Yeah.
you. All right, congratulations, Erica. Oh my goodness, and thank you everyone for coming out and being so engaged. It was such a pleasure talking to you about this series. I love this world, these characters, and I can't wait to see what you have coming out next for us. Katina, did you have anything? Any comments?
No, same. I had the same sentiment. Just being introduced to this family, and all the ups and downs, the emotions, all over the place. The hate, the love.
You have to tell her before we go though. You were saying something about Gio. You wanted to know is he considered an anti-hero?
Yeah, I didn't. You hear that a lot, and I wasn't sure if he was considered.
He's definitely what you would profile as the anti-hero. Because the hero is heroic in every definition of the word, right? And Gio loves his family, but he don't give a damn about nobody else. So he's anti-hero. He don't give a damn about nobody else. So yes, he is the anti-hero.
And I would classify him as that too. So I just wanted to get your opinion on it. Yeah. So
like you said, you don't really, like you said, Cheryl, it's not love hate because you don't hate him.
Right. I don't hate him.
Right.
But he had his moments where I was like,
yeah. You're gonna have your moments with him, but that's true character, right? If he's just flat, always the same guy, like Superman. You know, you watch Superman, every time something going on, he just run after Lois Lane. Just run after Lois Lane. Just run after Lois Lane. It's like, what do you want to do?
Yes. We definitely get the layers, the nuances of Gio, and I love that about it. Sheila K is saying she loves seeing on your body of work. I hope you keep writing and all your heart desires come true. Oh,
thank you, Sheila. Thank you.
I love that.
That's so
And
sweet.
Erica on Instagram is saying she loves you.
I love you too, boo.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming out on Saturday and spending time with us. I truly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.
Bye.